We irritating. Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, it came to me while I was sitting in chemistry lecture and I was like, oh my god, that's risky. But I put it out on Twitter even though it seemed like a kind of risky concept to run with. The resounding result was yes, make this video. And I do feel like it's a conversation that needs to be started within the beauty community. So today we're going to be talking about undisclosed sponsorships within the makeup community. Specifically 10 makeup products I can think of that beauty influencers probably did undisclosed sponsorships for. I've always been able to spot ads and be able to tell when I'm being advertised to, and I think that's mostly just a symptom of me having been involved in the social media world for a long time. Before I started my YouTube channel, I was a blogger for years, and I think I've always just kind of been able to pick out that language, and I'm somebody who appreciates sponsored content. I really love to see when beauty influencers and people that I follow are able to take on sponsorships that they actually really believe in, and they're able to work with brands that will help them with their success and help pay their bills, but also they're able to stick to their integrity while doing it. So I'm not against sponsorship by any means, and I will continue to take on sponsorships that I clearly disclose throughout my channel. But I think there's such a general really toxic relationship with sponsorships in the beauty community, and it's kind of weird to me. I've always wondered why beauty influencers in particular get such criticism and such a high amount of heat for taking sponsorships. If I were to do like 5 sponsored videos within a month, I would probably be criticized for that. Whereas within like the commentary genre, gaming, or pretty much anything else, honestly, sponsors are like a normal thing. And a lot of channels I follow, like Curtis Connor, Cody Co, pretty much have a sponsor for every video. And it's just a normal thing, but within the beauty world, that's not normal. It's different to like have a sponsor on videos where you're already like kind of selling products with your voice. But yeah, that was just basically a long-winded way of me saying I think that sponsorship, but yeah, that was basically a long-winded way of me saying I personally think that sponsorships are, but I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we didn't acknowledge the fact that like the beauty community has such an air of distrust around it, especially among some of the bigger influencers, and just the constant scandals that have happened. It kind of sucks to me that a lot of people are feeling like they can't trust a lot of people that they used to love and watch. And honestly, I felt that way too. I've unsubscribed from a lot of the bigger YouTubers I used to follow, and I've really found like my niche of people who I really love watching and really do trust their recommendations and just think that they create great content with integrity, and they're awesome. But today I thought it'd be a fun idea to just round up 10 makeup products that I personally believe were pushed at us through an undisclosed ad. I want to try and avoid naming names, but I think it's sometimes needed for context, and obviously I don't 100% know, so this is all alleged. I feel like a drama channel.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
But yeah, I just think it's always important to stay vigilant, to be a conscious consumer, to take everything with a grain of salt, and to just do your own research and not just blindly take anyone's recommendations. Full details of this look should already be on Instagram. So yeah, I think I've talked more than enough in this intro. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. I have a list and my notes I want to talk about on my phone, so if you see me looking at that, that's why. But number one, pretty much the product that inspired this video in the first place, that goddamn microfiber Juno & Co sponge. This sponge came out of nowhere last year. Basically, if you've never heard of it, the Juno & Co sponge, basically it just looks like a standard beauty blender, except the original one is blue. It's got like this fuzzy microfiber texture, and it was supposed to get you like maximum coverage out of a beauty sponge, which was an interesting concept. I myself have like tried other microfiber sponges. I don't think they're great, and they do get moldy pretty fast, which is not a fun time. So personally, it's not really a trend for me, but it kind of blew up because it was this new concept. But I think it's really important to remember where it blew up from. The first time and I think a lot of other people saw this sponge was on the channel of Nikki Tutorials, and I actually subscribe and still watch Nikki a lot, but the sponge situation, a little shady. Basically the situation, Nikki does a bunch of like product reviews on her channel of like some strange, interesting new makeup products. So I don't think it seemed super out of place when she did a review on this microfiber sponge, and she absolutely loved it, raved about it. So her first video went up, and then a couple days later she announced like, hey, they saw my video, they gave me discount codes. However, when her first initial video went up, one of her subscribers went to go buy the sponge on her recommendation because she raved about it, and this was before she even announced that she had the discount code, or that they'd seen her video and given her a discount code. And then when they got to checkout, they jokingly entered in Nikki just to like mess around. I myself have done that. Like I've entered in like different fake coupon codes just to see if I could get a percentage off of anything. But to the subscriber's surprise, the code actually worked and gave her that percentage off. And then a couple days later, Nikki announced that she had a discount code. So the fact that the coupon code was already in place when that first video went up led people to believe that there had been some background planning to have this video and to like create this huge buzz around this product, and then later on like kind of backtrack and make it look more natural. But I have a little story that I want to like say my personal piece about, because I do beauty reviews and I do sometimes take on sponsored videos. I'm part of like a couple different influencer networks where you can basically, brands post like sponsorships that they are offering and then influencers can apply to those sponsorships. So one of those websites is called FameBit and I'm a part of that. And a couple weeks before Nikki's video went up and the entire Juno & Co thing like blew up, I actually saw Juno & Co on this sponsorship website. They were basically posting like, hey, we'd like to sponsor a beauty YouTuber if they'll talk about our sponge. So when that video came out and when the whole brand blew up, I like recognized it and I was like, a microfiber sponge. I've seen that before, and I realized I'd seen Juno & Co weeks before, and it just kind of gave me like a huh. So yeah, that is the first one. I think it's also probably the most notorious one that more people know about. But yeah, let me know. Did you know about that? Did you know about that? There we go. My one dad joke of the video. Let's go.
You're literally the dumbest person I've ever met. It gives me a bad vibe, not funny, annoying.
The second product I want to talk about is the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. I forgot to mention in the intro, I was also partially inspired by T, Nappy Headed Hobo on YouTube. She did a kind of similar type video. She kind of like talked about 10 products that influencers like push that she thinks might have been undisclosed ads. So pretty much a similar concept, but she agreed that the Milk Makeup Blur Stick, the whole hype behind that seemed kind of fishy and kind of manufactured. I got into makeup in my sophomore year of high school, so around that time, that was when like Modern Renaissance was like a fresh release, naked palettes were all the rage, and I think Milk Makeup was just emerging as a brand. So I was watching beauty YouTube when the Milk Makeup Blur Stick came out, and I remember there was a time that everybody was talking about it. But I saw a couple like sponsored videos involving the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. I believe Jay Kissa did one, Thomas Halbert in his early days did one. So a few people did do like disclosed full-on regular sponsorship videos. But I also saw a lot of videos using kind of like similar talking points and the same wording of phrases that I saw in the sponsor videos in videos where it wasn't necessarily disclosed to be sponsored. I was younger back then, but I wasn't stupid.
No. Well.
And I think it is kind of telling that nowadays, like, I haven't seen the Milk Makeup Blur Stick mentioned in a video in a long time. But yeah, you have to think. And then number 3. You didn't think that I was going to get through this entire video without mentioning Morphe, did you? Again, I kind of got into the beauty world and beauty community or whatever around the same time that Morphe was really popular. Everybody owned the Morphe 35O palette, and a few really big influencers had Morphe codes. That was just like the shit to have. I vividly remember when the 25A and the 25B palette came out. Everybody on Snapchat was promoting it. And there was that whole mess with like them saying it was limited edition, and then it wasn't limited edition, and they brought it back, and then they took it away again, and then they made it permanent, and it was just a mess. So yeah, Snapchat stories especially, that was where I felt like a lot of ads for this palette were being placed. It was all Morphe affiliates, obviously, so I don't know if they were like being like paid extra money to advertise these on Snapchat, or if they were just like putting it on Snapchat because they knew they were gonna get like hella money off their codes from it. But either way, it's still kind of an ad. And the way that we think of undisclosed sponsorships, I think, are a very narrow way of the ones that are illegal, but there are so many ways that people can do undisclosed ads that aren't necessarily illegal by FTC standards. There's so many ways that people can get around like loopholes and still exchange the kind of money or whatever they're exchanging. But yeah, I mean, I owned the 25B palette for a while. It was nice, but it wasn't like groundbreaking or anything, and I decluttered it a while ago and honestly forgot it existed. But when I was planning out this video, I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened. Number 4 on the list, BoxyCharm unboxings. There are a lot of influencers that do dedicated BoxyCharm unboxings every month. And I'm sure that most of those influencers don't pay for the box themselves. They get it sent to them in PR every month. So maybe they are just like getting it for free every month, and then they make the video out of the kindness of their hearts because they're so excited to get the box every month. But I kind of have a hard time believing that people with like thousands upon thousands or millions of subscribers even would make this a monthly series on their channel, dedicating that amount of time and filming and sometimes even doing tutorials with the products without getting extra benefits from BoxyCharm, if that makes sense. Because I don't believe for like 1 second that a larger influencer would create a whole ass series on their channel with a free video each month for this brand for the compensation of only $120 worth of free product. Number 5, not a makeup product, but Fashion Nova. There are so many Instagram posts and clothing hauls on YouTube for Fashion Nova, and a lot of people shop at Fashion Nova. It is kind of like a staple of like Insta-thought culture, and I've bought from Fashion Nova and worn their products on my Instagram. So it can be very difficult to like actually discern what is somebody who like bought the product from Fashion Nova and is just modeling it on Instagram because they look good, or somebody who's being paid to like post that content. Some people do disclose when their like YouTube haul or their Instagram post is sponsored, and some don't, so it can be really difficult to tell. But I wanted to talk about Cardi B in particular because she does a ton of Fashion Nova sponsored posts and doesn't disclose any of them because technically she doesn't have to. I didn't know this until recently, but Cardi B does own stock in Fashion Nova. So technically, because she has a stake in the brand, whatever post she does on social media, she doesn't have to disclose as a sponsorship because she's essentially paying herself. So again, this is another one of those loopholes where it's not necessarily illegal, but I think it's incredibly shady. This kind of tactic where somebody owns like a stock and they'd be used in other avenues, and I don't know that for sure, but it definitely makes me think like if somebody doesn't have to disclose just because they own like a stock or part of the brand, there could be a lot flying under the radar that we don't really know about. And that brings me back to what I wanted to talk about for number 6, which is Morphe. There's been a lot of speculation about whether Morphe and Jaclyn Hill have like a different relationship from just being an affiliate. Jaclyn Hill is incredibly wealthy. She could possibly own a part of Morphe. I think Jeffree Star probably owns a part of Morphe as well. But Jaclyn Hill has always supported Morphe, and I do think that Morphe makes some good quality products. Like, not even gonna front, the James Charles palette and the Jaclyn Hill palette, they are good quality pieces of makeup. But there have been some questionable things released from Morphe, like the foundation that happened earlier this year that was a mess. So earlier this year, I remember Jaclyn Hill talking up the Morphe foundation and the concealer, even when some other affiliates were like, yeah, this is trash. She also raved about the concealers and called them the concealer of 2019, I believe. And then I haven't seen her use them since in a video. I think most people wrote it off as like, yes, the Morphe affiliates are going to push the Morphe foundation and concealer because that's what you do as a Morphe affiliate. But I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me if there's an added layer with Jaclyn Hill. Number 7, this is one I know actually for sure happened, but Shop Hush. Rest in peace, they're gone now. But I remember when Shop Hush's dupe palettes were just like all over YouTube. Dupe palettes in general have always been a more like controversial topic. There are some people who believe they should not exist at all. There are some people who love them. I saw Shop Hush palettes on a ton of smaller influencers channels, as well as some really big YouTubers, so they kind of had a wide spread of people who were talking about their stuff. But I know for a fact that they were doing sponsored videos because that is essentially what I did with them. They sent me palettes and in exchange for me talking about them in a video. And it wasn't necessarily a sponsor video because I wasn't getting paid to talk about the products, they were just sending me PR. But I saw similar videos coming out from people who had like 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, and I had 1,000 subs at the time. So again, I don't believe for a second that they were creating essentially the same content as I was, but not being compensated beyond the PR package for that. Yeah, I mean, when I saw like bigger or even mid-tier influencers, pretty much the exact same content that I was doing for free, I knew there had to be some kind of like extra monetary component to that. But again, I didn't really see a lot of people coming out and saying this video was sponsored by Shop Hush. And now Shop Hush is gone, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Number 7 would be the P.Louise bases. Bases that walked so the Anastasia Beverly Hills eye primer could run. Literally, Anastasia eye primer just runs everywhere. But P.Louise Makeup Academy, they are a makeup academy and now brand based out of the UK. And I followed them on Instagram for a while. I no longer do because of the owner. We're gonna talk about Nikki Tutorials again because she'd always been a very, very avid supporter of their Instagram page and their work. They do beautiful, elaborate, incredibly talented makeup looks. So P.Louise sent out a ton of PR when they first launched to pretty much every bigger influencer. Karen, I Love Sadahi, Kathleen Knights, Nikki, obviously, I think Manny and James as well. I don't think that all those reviews were sponsored at all. I think they were just like, they got it in PR. It was a hyped up product that a lot of people were talking about, so they just reviewed it. Nikki did a whole ass video, dedicated video, and she uses the products devotedly. They're in pretty much every video she does. And now Nikki has a code, so she is like making money off of their affiliate program. But that was something that blew up, and especially to get your product talked about by so many bigger influencers. That's crazy, and that's very, very difficult to achieve. So either they are marketing geniuses or there was something else going on, but that entire phenomenon was just crazy to watch for me. The whole situation around the Beautyblender Bounce Foundations was incredibly weird to me from the jump. Obviously, there was the whole backlash around the shade range when it was first like sneak peeked on Trend Mood. So this foundation was kind of doomed from the start in terms of people already like having an idea about it. And Beautyblender has a huge like reach within bigger influencers. They send out PR to pretty much all of the bigger players in the game. And after the Tarte Shape Tape foundation debacle, a lot of bigger influencers didn't review that foundation because they saw the backlash that was happening about the shade range, and they were like, I don't even want to open that can of worms. So it was very interesting to me to see that people were still posting reviews of the Beautyblender foundation even though they knew they'd get backlash for giving exposure to a brand with that type of shade range. The fact that people were still posting about it even though they knew that the comments were going to come in, kind of tells me maybe they had to post about it. And the 10th and final product on my list are Morphe lashes and Lily lashes concurrently. The Morphe lashes thing, again, I'm not sure if it's just a product of the affiliate program being so profitable from them, but I vividly remember James promoting the Morphe lashes as like the best thing since sliced bread, and I haven't seen him use them since, and he's gone back to using Lily lashes like pretty much everybody else. But also there has been a ton of like tea spilled about Lily Lashes possibly paying influencers to use their products for extended periods of time, not as like one sponsored video, but like over time, only use Lily Lashes in your tutorials, basically. But yeah, I think that kind of brings up another method that people might be using, where they're not necessarily being sponsored for one dedicated video, but over time, it's like, mention our product in this many videos. I don't know. Again, we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors, but we can always be vigilant and be aware of what kind of tricks people might be using. And just use your better judgment, find people you trust. If I'm one of those people, thank you so much, and I will do everything I can to keep that trust and to make you guys proud. But at the end of the day, you guys are smart, you guys have brains, you guys can use them very well and protect yourself, and I think that's just the most important thing, is being aware and being educated about what goes on. Alright guys, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tea video. I'm very anxious filming this one. I can't imagine how anxious editing Julia is right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it starts some kind of positive conversation about being an aware consumer. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below, and also follow me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this purple one posted fairly regularly. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you conscious, amazing, beautiful consumers, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.
That was close.